Hello and welcome. Thank you for attending our version 21 Business Systems webinar. Recognizing those needs vary by company, SigmaNEST offers different levels of shop floor solutions. Whether you're looking to create a quote, manage your material inventory, or just get G-code out to your machine, or that fully automated solution offering bi-directional smart data flow, SigmaNEST can be that single source. I'm going to pass the stage over to Wayne Cathers, SigmaNEST product owner.
Thanks, Kevin. So what we want to look at today is I want to show you some of the different software options and the different solutions that we offer here at SigmaNEST that get you more than just programming your cutting machines. We want to look at the process from quote, generating the orders, tracking the production flow throughout the entire production process, even down to shipping the material out to our customers, and then on the backside, ordering material to replenish inventory. So the first place we're going to start is our quote to order walkthrough. So we're going to walk through the process of generating the quote and then sending that quote out to the customer and then streamlining the process of creating the work order to be produced in SigmaNEST. So let's take a look now. So with SigmaQuote or SigmaMRP both, we believe that we can help give advantages to your business in a few key ways. We can help give you more flexibility in your workflow, and we can give you greater accuracy in your quoting. So we'll start by just making a new job. This can be done through SigmaMRP or SigmaQuote. We'll enter data for the job, such as the customer. If I know the due date, I can type that in here. The job will be created, and now we have to add parts to the job. That can be done many different ways. One way is by assemblies. These assemblies can be created in SigmaMRP or imported directly from SolidWorks. So we have all the parts here, and the parts could be everything from parts that need to be cut in SigmaNEST to items that you stock on the shelf, or even third-party items that you purchase from another company. Now that we have an assembly in the job, we'll head back to the SigmaNEST workspace, and then we bring in only the parts that need to be cut in SigmaNEST. We can then add extra parts if we need from parts that we've previously saved. And then, of course, SigmaNEST has all of its different CAD import functionalities to import files from about any kind of CAD package you could imagine. From here, we'll nest all the parts. This gives us an accurate idea of how much material is required for the job. And it also lets us know about how much time, estimated cutting time, so that we can account for the production cost related to actually cutting the parts. Now that we have everything nested and the NC is applied, we'll go back to the job. SigmaNEST will calculate all those costs for us, and then we'll apply different markups that can be set in many different ways. And then those markups applied to the cost calculated by SigmaNEST gives us the price that we'll send to our customers. Now let's look at some of the different flexible options that we have when it comes to costing and comes to pricing. So at first, we'll take a look at this part. It's just a simple part that needs to be cut in SigmaNEST. But we might need to add secondary operations to it. So I can add extra operations. In this example, we'll say bending. Let's say it needs to go to the press brake to be bent after it's cut. And then I'll add that in. We can add time. We can also automate that process with different customizable options to automatically add those operations. If I already know the price, either I've settled on a price internally or negotiations with the customer, I can type the price in here, and the system calculates backwards and then lets me know what the markup is for the part. So from here, I'll change the job status to quote. So this is me sending the quote out to my customer. I can then print a report, and these reports are highly customizable. I can print, I can email directly to the customer, I can save as PDFs. Now, when the customer reaches back out to me and accepts the order and is ready to place the order, I can pre-schedule the job by setting the known due date, scheduling the job, and then SigmaSchedule, which we'll talk about in a minute, looks at our available capacity and schedules the job either forward or backward and gives me an idea if I can complete the job on time before I even accept the order. In this instance, I have a green light, which says everything is good to go, and I can be confident that I can make the order on time. If you're using our full Sigma MRP package, we can also raise purchase orders from here. We'll look at the inventory that you have on hand and suggest if you need to purchase more material. Then purchase orders can be created and set to a draft status so the purchasing department can review them later. From here, we can change the job status to order. We'll have the opportunity to print another report, send some type of an order confirmation report to our customers. Again, highly customizable. You can print them, email them, save them. And then from here, we generate the SigmaNEST work order. All the parts would then show up in SigmaNEST, and we'll be ready to move on with the production phase. So when we're using Sigma Quote, we give you all kinds of options and flexibilities in the quote to order process. So the next thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned it very quickly in that section, was about pre-scheduling. A common question that we get from our customers is they'll ask us, how do I know when I'm quoting if I can make the order on time? The customer tells me when they need the parts, but I don't know exactly when I'm going to be able to get the parts to them. So that's why we have introduced Sigma Schedule with this new pre-scheduling ability that allows you to temporarily schedule all of your production steps before you even accept the order. So let's take a deeper look at that. So we'll start in SigmaNEST, and I'll add some parts. Again, these parts can be added by DXF, save parts, assemblies, however you want to add the parts. We give you multiple options. We'll make the job. I'll select the customer. In this instance, let's say I already know the due date of the part of the job. If I don't know, I can always add it later. I click OK. The parts get calculated, added to the job, cost gets calculated, price gets calculated, and now we're ready to send it out to the customer. So just to simulate that, we'll go to quote status. We'll skip the report for now because we want to focus on the scheduling aspect. Now when the customer comes back and says, hey, all the parts are good, when can you get it to me? We can schedule the job, and then it will look at all of your capacity for all of your operations involved in the job, and then determine when the parts can be completed. If the parts can't be completed on time, you get a visual indicator, the red block here, that tells you you can't make it on time, but it does tell you when you could expect to be completed with the production. One of the big advantages of scheduling is not only can we schedule each individual operation for your shop, not just your cutting operations, but also your bending and your welding, but we can schedule programs, grouped parts from parts that are combined from multiple different jobs, and we can schedule those as a unit. From there, we can use the new advantages that we have in Load Manager to adjust that schedule on the shop floor, on the fly, day to day, to handle all the disruptions that you would typically see on the shop floor. So now let's take a look at that. So here with Sigma Schedule, there's going to be a number of big advantages. Sigma Schedule can handle all the complexities of your multi-operation and multi-job scheduling. Like I mentioned earlier, we can give you clear indications of when something is likely to be late, and we give you a lot of different flexible options to schedule how you need to schedule for your business. So when a job needs to be scheduled from either Sigma MRP or Sigma Quote, just like we showed before in the earlier videos, scheduling request can be sent to Sigma Schedule. Sigma Schedule would see the request here in the top box. It would then process that request, whether forward or backward, and schedule the job and all the programs and all the operations. So let's take a look at a job. In this example, I've got a job that's in quote status, and I've already got a due date set. So I'll schedule the job here. Now the job can be scheduled forward, which means we're starting with the due date and trying to get the job done as soon as possible, or it can be scheduled backwards or just in time. We start with the due date in mind and schedule the operations in reverse so you'll know when to start production. And then here we know that we can't get it done on time, but it does tell us when to expect the job to be due. Now, SigmaSchedule can handle scheduling of simple operations. Simple parts, like this example, is just a single SigmaNEST part that needs to be cut at the machine. But SigmaSchedule can also handle complex scheduling. For instance, this assembly that we looked at earlier, which might have multiple subassemblies and multiple different operations that are dependent on the completion of prior operations. We schedule all of this in order and keep everything in line. Now let's take a look in SigmaNEST once we've sent this job to SigmaNEST as a work order. We've got parts from multiple different jobs. They're highlighted here in different colors. And on the right side, you can see that I have parts from different jobs, 7, 8, and 9, and they're even for different customers. Now I've grouped all those together in a nest, and once I've posted and then done the full reschedule of the shop, what we'll notice here is that the start times for all of the operations for jobs 7, 8, and 9 are the same. Here, it runs from 2 to 2:46 for job 7. If I go to job 8, we see the same time, 2 to 2:46. And all this is because we do something unique in the scheduling for manufacturing industry, is that we can schedule those programs as a group unit and not just single individual parts. So now in SigmaSchedule, something else we'll talk about is the ability to completely do a full reschedule of the shop. So the full reschedule can be done a couple different ways. It can be done automatically a couple times a day. You can set a couple different times, or it can be done manually with a click of a button. So what the full reschedule does is it takes all of your operations that are not currently in process, that are currently being worked on the shop floor, it pulls them out of the schedule, and then it reschedules all of the jobs to start with a blank slate, and then reschedules all the jobs, forward or backward, however you previously scheduled them. This will take into account any new jobs that have come in, any priorities, or any due dates of the jobs that might have changed. So now let's take a look on the shop floor. So once we've posted the programs, we've rescheduled for the programs, but first we'll take a look at the production tab. So this production tab is available in full MRP and in SigmaQuote. We'll show a few columns to note here is the order due and the scheduled to finish date. So this gives us a clear indicator of when a job might be late or is scheduled to be late. From there, we can do adjustments. And now let's take a look at Load Manager. So not only can we schedule all of your jobs and put them in order, but we can give you tools to manage the schedule on the fly during the day. So the first thing we'll see in Load Manager here is our capacity tab. It just gives us a grand 10,000 foot view of our capacity to know when we have capacity to do work. Here in the Workstations tab, we can assign all of our operations. So not only can we assign our SigmaNEST programs, but we can assign work to our welding stations, to our press brakes, all operations. We can click on a specific operation. In this case, I'm clicking on a SigmaNEST program, and then we highlight all of the secondary operations that have to be processed on the parts that are included into that program. So some parts have to go to welding, some parts have to go to bending. Now, another big advantage that we give in the new Workstations tab of Load Manager is the ability to quickly reset or resolve the schedule when disruptions happen. If a machine goes down, we can quickly turn the machine off, click the resolve button, and now the entire schedule for the day has been reworked to compensate for the fact that we're now down one machine. All the operations will be shifted and adjusted to keep everything in the correct order. Okay, so now let's talk about the shop floor. So in the first section, we talked about the quote to order process. I sent the quote out. Now the customer has come back. They've ordered the parts. I sent it out for SigmaNEST to do its programming. We did all the scheduling aspects. Now, once everything has been posted, scheduled, sent to the shop floor, now we need to be able to get the data from the shop floor to know where production is, what parts have been cut, what parts haven't been cut, which parts are ready for their secondary operations and which ones aren't. So we'll take a look at that now. So the major advantages of the shop floor feedback functionality that we have with all of our business system products is one that will give you greater visibility of your production status. And then we'll help incorporate real-time feedback from the shop floor for all the operations so you always know where you stand. So in this instance, I have one job, it's already in an order status and we've already scheduled it. We can see for this job, I've got one part that has to be cut in SigmaNEST on my laser, and then it has to go to a separate operation. So once we've posted this in SigmaNEST and done the reschedule, now we'll come into color offload. Some of you may already be familiar with color offload. It's used by SigmaNEST cutting machine operators to track process and track production of those programs. We see data like the program name, which sheet it's supposed to be using, material thickness, and even estimated cutting time. Different functions are available in color offload to do things like swapping the sheet. If this particular sheet isn't available or it's damaged, we can swap the sheet for a different one. We can start the program, we can stop the program and finish the program. All of these times are tracked in our database so they can be used for analytics later on. You can even reject parts. If a part is damaged during the cutting process, it can be rejected and then automatically sent back into the system so that we can recut that part and it can be reprogrammed. We can then program update to let the system know, hey, I'm done with this part, or I'm done with this program and all these parts have been cut. So if we hop back into the production tab, we can see we have a status indicator. The little bubble turns blue, which indicates that all of the cutting operation for this part has been completed. Now we need to go to the bending workstation. So here in Shopfloor Data Capture, much like color offload, we use it to track the production of all of our secondary operations, in this case, bending. I see all of the parts that need to go to the press brake. I can filter by all kinds of data, such as job number, work order number. I can see if the previous operation has been completed or not, then I can proceed. If there's any allocation that needs to happen, if I need to allocate certain material or change the allocation of material, I can do that here. And then much like color offload, we come to our timer page. We see the part that we're going to be bending. I'll start the operation, type in my setup time. Maybe it takes about 10 minutes to add the tools to the press brake. We run the operation. The operator will then go to the workstation, do the production, and then we can stop or we can finish. And then data can be input such as how many were completed. Maybe I didn't finish all of them. Maybe I scrapped some. And then you can type in your breakdown time. Maybe it took 12 minutes to take the parts off the press brake. Now we come back to this page and we can start, the operator can then start bending the next parts if some are available. Back in the production tab, again, with this live data feedback, we can see that the grinding operation or the bending operation has been completed. So all of the operations for this part have now been completed. Now it's time to ship it to the customer. So in Sigma Shipping, one of our browser-based applications, we can create a new delivery note or a packing slip to put in the package. I can select the part that I want, create the new note. If I need to input data such as the delivery cost that I get from the delivery company, I can type that data in here. I can change other things such as the quantity that I'm putting in the package. Maybe I'm making a partial delivery. I click next. I can add data to the delivery note or the packing slip. I can put in things like header data and footer data, and we'll look at that more in a minute. Then I get a preview of the delivery note and we save. And then now this is tracked in the system so we know that the parts have been packaged and shipped out. From here, I can then save, preview, download, and print the delivery note or the packing slip that goes into the package. So now we come back to the job and we can see that the job status has been changed to delivery. So we're tracking all of this in real time. And then we can even come here into the delivery tab and then we can see the delivery note. Now we touched on Sigma Shipping very quickly, but I want to go back to it and dive a little bit deeper because it's one of our brand new products that we've recently released in version 21. So one of the major advantages for our Sigma Shipping product is that it can be used on any device that runs a web browser. So it can even be used on a tablet on the shop floor. And another big advantage is that it shows no financial data to the user. So the person that's creating the packages has no idea how much something costs or what the markup is or what kind of profitability I'm getting off of it. They're just concerned about packaging. So we'll come here. Sigma Shipping will allow us to either make delivery notes, which go out to our end user or our end customer. We can also make dispatch notes that allow us to create notes and send packages to our subcontract suppliers if they need to do outside processing. So I'll select the job and make the new note. Again, we don't show any kind of cost information. So we don't show financial information to the user for security and permissions related things. We can type in the actual shipping price. So we show the estimated shipping price. If it turns out to be more, then we can add that info here. The user can on the shop floor. And then we can do all kinds of things with the items in the package. I can change the quantity of the item that I'm putting in the package. I can add items from other jobs into the same package. I can even split the package into multiple packages based on the weight. You type in a weight and it'll automatically split the items into different packages as to not exceed the weight limit per package. So we go to the next step and we can add things like header data and footer data to the packing slip that I'm putting in the box. You can set these up beforehand so that you can have pre-selectable options. We'll click next. We see a preview of the delivery note, who it's going to, how many items are in the package. We click save. And again, just like before, we can preview the delivery note or the packing slip, and then we can download it and print it off and put this in the box or put this in the package to send to our customers. So now let's talk about after the production is done. So we started with the quote, we sent the quote out, we produced all the parts, we tracked the parts production on the shop floor from beginning to end, and now we've even shipped the parts out to our customers. Now we need to take care of the back end. So the back end would be the inventory required to produce those parts. So one of the advantages of Sigma MRP is that because we have this tight integration with all of our other SigmaNEST products, whether it be SigmaNEST or Color Offload, we always know what the inventory is in real time. So that helps make it simple to know how much to purchase and when to purchase. So let's take a look. So with Sigma MRP, we can help with the purchasing process in a few key ways. One, we can help you to know when and what to purchase. We can automate the process of creating the purchase orders, and we can simplify the process of receiving the material. So here we have a list of item masters. Item masters could be anything from sheets to a box of nuts and bolts to a bucket of paint. All the item masters show you critical information such as how much you have in stock, what you have on order, and the minimum level. Once you go dip below the minimum level, the software will suggest that you order more. Purchase orders can be created either automatically in the job itself or manually in the purchasing tab. So first, let's take a look at the job in the jobs tab, creating a purchase order. So I have a job here that has some parts in it. I'll raise a new purchase order. It will show me all the items I would need to purchase for the job. In this example, a sheet to cut the parts. It tells me how many I need. It shows me how many I have in inventory, and it shows my minimum level. It takes all that into account and then suggests how many it thinks I should purchase. So in this case, I need 2 to complete the job. Using 2 for the job would bring me below my minimum level of 30, so it suggests that I order 1. The purchase orders can be automatically created for all the materials at once. And then those purchase orders are set to a draft status, again, which can then be reviewed by our purchasing department later. So we'll take a look at that purchase order now. We see the purchase order here, it's in draft status. We can add items if we need, make adjustments. If we want to make a new purchase order, we can just click New Purchase Order. Now when the purchase order is ready to go out to the supplier, I need to actually order the material now. I change the status to sent out, and then I can print any kind of documentation that I would typically send to my supplier. We'll go back into the Item Master tab, and then we'll see that we now have 1 for this Item Master. We now have 1 on order. So again, we're tracking that data in real time. Let's go back to the purchasing tab. Now when it's time to receive the inventory, it's received at the shop. I'll create a new GRN, which is a goods received note. I can see information in the GRN as far as what items have already been accepted, if I've already received some. I can change different details about how many I'm receiving, and then I click Save. Now I'm brought to a bookend page where I can book the material into the inventory. I can select a location where I'm putting it in the shop. I can enter important information like heat number, for example. Quantity is already pulled from the GRN. I click OK. And then we can print labels or stickers or some other type of report that you may want to use to track the material or to stick onto the plates. We'll check the Item Master tab again. And we can see here now that for this Item Master, we don't have any on order anymore. And that value has been added to what we have in stock. Now let's take a look at that same process, but done on the shop floor in Sigma Receive. Again, Sigma Receive is not going to show us any kind of financial information, and it can be used on a tablet on the shop floor for quick processing. So I can make GRNs, and I can book in material. So let's see what that looks like. I create a new GRN. If I already have a purchase order, we see the list of purchase orders here. We can select the purchase order we want to receive and create the new note. We can see all the items that are on that GRN, how much should have been received. We can change quantities. Maybe we didn't get a full shipment, we only got some. If we have already received some, then we'll see that data here. We go next. Just like the delivery note, we can add things like header data, footer text onto the GRN that's going to be created. We get a preview of what the GRN looks like, what date we got it, the purchase order it's related to, and what we received. Now that I've received the material, it's sitting on the receive dock floor. Now it's time to book that material into inventory to tell the system where I'm putting it and how I'm putting it. So here we come to the bookend page. We can select all the items. We can select individual items that are in the GRN. In the first example, I'll pick this sheet here. And we'll notice that it has quantity 6. I'll book this sheet in as a single sheet with a quantity of 6. So one batch with multiple quantity. Type in things like the heat number. If the size doesn't exactly match what I ordered, I can change that here. And I can type in other things like notes or even allocate the sheet to a specific customer. I then click Save. And the batch gets created and added into the system with a quantity of 6. Now for the next sheet, I might want to split that batch into individual sheets with quantity 1, so they can be numbered individually, and I have greater visibility of tracking my material. So in this case, again, set the warehouse where I'm putting it in the facility, give it a heat number, but this time I'm going to click the split button, which allows me to determine the size of the batches I want to split it into. So this time I'll just do 1. And then we'll notice that 10 individual sheets are created. They'll have their own individual unique batch numbers. And then I can change certain data for each sheet individually. For example, I could change the heat number on each sheet if I wanted, or you could even change things like the location notes or give a specific number for each sheet individually. I'll click Save. And at the top of the screen, you can see the counter increase as we're adding each individual unique batch to the inventory. Now that I'm done doing the bookend, I can return to the GRN list to see if there's any other GRNs that need to be booked in. If not, I can return to the Sigma Receive landing page and be ready for when a new purchase order gets created and is ready to be received. Now, the last portion that we want to talk about, at least from the business systems perspective, is SimTrans. So all of our SigmaNEST products have great automatic integration. They can communicate with each other very seamlessly. But the question often becomes, how do we take all of those great SigmaNEST features and integrate them with our outside software, such as like an ERP system? That's where SimTrans comes into play. SimTrans allows us to take data that's output from our ERP system, use that data, use those as transactions to process in SigmaNEST, and then feed that data back. So let's take a look now. What we'll see here is an example of a CSV file that was exported by an ERP system. And the CSV file has all different kinds of transactions for SimTrans to process. Everything from work order creation to adding customers, you name it. In the new version of SimTrans, we have the ability to now filter and sort by everything from transaction type to text in the transaction to even district. Version 21 also has new reports available in SimTrans. These reports can be used to track activity that's happening in SimTrans and even show distinction of what transactions are being processed most heavily by which district. Lastly, I'll point out that SimTrans also has the ability to automatically create SigmaNEST parts. By looking at a DXF file that's sent out from the ERP system, SimTrans can automatically pick up on that DXF file or other CAD file, open SigmaNEST in the background, and create the part automatically.